Hey everyone, this is Gary Kay, and I can't even express how excited I am to finally be going to a major trade show. Used to go to shows every single month, and now this will only be my second big show of the entire year of 2022. And I'm super excited. It's going to be a show that I've been to since the very beginning of this show, CEDIA Expo, which is sort of like a residential toy fair for me. It is the high-end residential show, smart show, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people call it smart home show. And I'm excited to be joined with Daryl Friedman, who's the global president and CEO of CEDIA. And Daryl, starting with you real quickly, and we'll introduce Giles in just a second. This will be the first time many people have actually seen you in 3D.
That's right. I've been a Zoom presence, although I have been around the world meeting members for the past 9 months on the job. But as far as this trade show goes, it's my first CEDIA Expo, and I'm pretty excited to be there.
Yeah, and you joined the organization recently, and we'll talk about that. Giles Sutton is the senior vice president of CEDIA. Giles, how are you doing, by the way?
Doing really well, thanks, Gary. Yeah, I mean, the event merry-go-round in the industry is starting up again, as you rightly said. Really excited that we have our major trade show back again next week. It's been really sorely missed, so excited to see everyone there.
And you've been at CEDIA for, I don't know, at least 4 or 5 years now. So you've obviously, it's funny, you've been there 4 or 5 years, but you only actually probably been to 2 shows, right? I mean, because most of everything got kind of shifted there. But, I'm really here to talk to, I mean, obviously we want people to go to the show. The show is a little part of what CEDIA does. CEDIA is an association. By the way, there's always been confusion over CEDIA and CEDIA. So I'll kind of clear up that confusion. There's CEDIA, the association, CEDIA, the show, 2 separate groups. The show is CEDIAExpo.com. The organization or the association is CEDIA.org. And CEDIA.org is a nonprofit association specifically aimed at helping the high-end residential market. Did I wrap that up okay, Daryl?
Yeah, CEDIA.net is the URL. That's
CEDIA.net. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. Yep. CEDIA.net. Okay, and I want to talk about, I want to kind of pick your brains a little bit and kind of get a state of the high-end residential market. I want to start it off with that. We'll come back to the show later, but I kind of want to know, and I don't know if I'm going to start with Giles. I'll throw this question out to both of you. Where are we? Where's the market? I mean, obviously, forget the supply chain issue right off the bat. We know that's an issue, but let's talk about sort of like, our market, this market is the most exciting. It's the pinnacle of technology. I mean, everyone wants their home to be that automated, perfect place that we come into and everything kind of just figures us out. And, Alexa is this level, but we can go all the way up here. And that's what you're going to see at the show. And that's what CEDIA has served. So what's the state of the industry?
It's interesting. When I started, I talked to a lot of people. I went around the world talking to members. Usually when you're running an association, the members are saying, here's what here's what we need you to do to help build business, to help get more customers, to help build the industry. And what I heard when I joined CEDIA was business is booming like we've never seen before. And if you can, the main thing that people were asking for was bringing more people into the labor pool to help just manage all the business that's happening. But I think what happened during the pandemic is people started to see their homes in a completely different light. They can be the hub for everything, every aspect of their lives. And that's been a radical shift in mentality for the consumer. And CEDIA integrators and manufacturers have met the challenge. And I think it's been a very good couple of years for them. Giles may have a better take on it than I do, having been around for those 2 years.
Yeah, Giles, where do you see sort of like, obviously this was not, obviously the pandemic helped the whole home industry. Like everyone, even if you just sold bricks and lumber, you were making a fortune. But ultimately, even before all the pandemic started, we were riding a really good wave where people recognized, thanks to the Internet of Things, whatever you want to call it, Web 3.0, that you could connect things together to the internet and you could connect disparate products together and make something really cool out of it. Starting with, I remember seeing the first refrigerator that was connectable to the internet and washer and dryer and thinking, why would you ever want to do that? Now I can't imagine being without the convenience.
Absolutely. And I mean that for a lot of homeowners, and I know, CEDIA's sort of traditionally been always associated with the high end, the luxury end of the market. That always remains strong, and we saw that even in the last downturn. But as we've seen sort of the technology companies, consumer electronics companies developing product that are more sort of geared for the mid market, these are often the products that really start a homeowner's journey. It's how they dip their toes in. It gets quite addicting to start building systems yourself that way. And then when you then look to your own home, when you remodel your home or you buy a new home, you then employ a professional integrator to help you install that technology. But integrators generally have had as we know, a boom time during the pandemic. It looked a little bit dicey at one point, and then as everything ground to a halt, and then we were thankful for our advocacy efforts to be recognized as an essential worker, so we could work throughout it. But we continue outside of the supply chain to see huge demand. We are tied to the property market, which, as we know, is starting to slow. So there is some sort of anxiousness around that. However, we're still really surfing the wave from the last couple of years. So again, when we look back at the last recession, heaven forbid there will be a recession, but if we look back, the wave was felt a long way after those initial kind of market effects. So I still feel the industry's in a really good shape right now.
Yeah, and you bring up the recession. I mean, I think all indications. I just saw an article just that popped online literally right before we went live that Facebook literally surprised everyone and laid off 10% of the company all of a sudden. I think that Meta, I should say, we're going to go into a recession, but historically we've kind of been recession proof because we're aiming at a clientele that still values their personal space. They still value technology's always sort of been on the leading edge of that. And we're on the leading edge of technology. I'm not saying that we're not going to feel the effects of it. I definitely think we will I think it'll be accelerated because of, maybe more felt because of the supply chain. Certainly this is all guessed by all of us, but at the, one couple things you're going to see at the show that I think make us a little bit recession proof is, you're going to have a company like Planar introducing an outdoor LED, right? I mean, that is not something that the person who buys that is not worried about the recession necessarily. They're worried about some other things, right? And then you're also looking at where CEDIA has done a phenomenal job bridging or connecting the chasm between what CES has always done, which is that lower end or entry level, I should say, app-based control market, bridging it up to what Crestron can do, what Control4 can do, and what other brands like that can do, into something that is really kind of like a wow factor. And I think that wow factor is worth a lot of money. Don't you think that makes us a little bit, Daryl, immune to the harder parts of a recession?
Well, certainly at the top of the market, those folks, I'm not included in that, but those folks are definitely more resistant to the ebbs and flows of macroeconomics. So we're going to see those continuations. But I think even in the mid-market, which is an important market for integrators as well, they're going to be working in middle-class homes, and more of this technology becomes affordable and more accessible to the mid-tier. And I think in that case too, no one's recession proof, but I think our industry is recession resistant in the sense that people are going to be cocooning when this happens. They're going to want to spend more time in their home. They may not have the opportunity to go out to movies or have the money to do big dinners and restaurants, but the home is always going to be that sanctuary. And that's a great opportunity for us. And I'm very confident that this industry will withstand whatever the macroeconomic environment is going to be.
I was listening to an interview with Ben Affleck with Howard Stern a few months ago, and he had a really interesting observation. He said that, and here's an actor who's in a lot of movies, very popular. He said that he thinks movies have changed forever, and that the exhibition house, the movie theater, is only going to show big blockbusters, and everything else is going to be available simultaneously in the home. And, hey, watching on 65-inch monitor is one thing, but all of us would love to have something larger than that and a little bit more better quality audio and a little bit more control over that kind of stuff. This, for 20 years, we as an industry have been saying, hey, it's okay to watch this stuff at home. It's okay to have a certain segment of this, and television quality got better. Like a show like Ozark is as good as any movie out there. And you watch that on a big screen, it looks amazing. Star Wars with the new, the debut of Andor, is as good as any movie out there. They're saying, the critics are saying. So this is a great time to be in the high end residential market, because all the entertainment is moving back towards the home. Of course, you're going to go to the theater to watch, the newest Black Panther movie. You're going to go to the theater for the big blockbusters, but the rom-com and the small dramas and the story-based movies, aren't they just as good at home and ultimately cheaper?
And better, because you've got your smart refrigerator right arm's length away instead of going in line.
I want a robot. That's the next. I want the robot.
That's next. That's next.
And
I can remember
the robots at the show. If you go to the show, you'll see a couple brands that are showing robots that will go to your refrigerator and bring you stuff. Anyway, sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay. No, I was going to say, when I was at the Grammys, we introduced surround sound, and CBS wanted to use the Grammys as the platform to do this. And very few people had it in their homes, but we wanted to at least kind of be out there and force that technology. And of course, immersive audio just got better and better. And now CEDIA members are really that new market that's actually forcing the consumer to say, this can be better. This can be better than any movie theater. This can be better than anything I have. It's pretty exciting. And actually, Kaleidoscape's one of our sponsors, and they're a big part of this ecosystem as well. They're sponsoring the keynote, and our keynote's going to be addressing that second factor of that, which is, okay, you've got the great setup in your home, you've got incredible audio, you've got incredible television resolution, but all this content's coming at you. What do I do with it? And I think one of the exciting things about the show for this year is this keynote where Greg is going to talk about what's going to happen with content and this fragmentation of all this work out there, and how does the consumer deal with it, and how can the integrator be part of the solution?
Yeah, and I think part of that is AI, learning what the customer wants to do. Part of it is convenience, and then part of it is cocooning. I like the term there. And in fact, my own neighborhood, there's a lot of new construction in the neighborhood I'm in. They're now building homes with Zoom rooms in them. Now, they're not actual Zoom rooms, but they're calling them Zoom rooms. And it's like home offices. And instead of having one home office, there's multiple home offices. Instead of having one sort of playroom, there's two rooms, right? They made the living room bigger so that you could put a bigger display there. But they've also built a larger, I don't want to say game room or theater room, whatever you want to call it, home entertainment room. And even I put I'll be the first to admit, I'm a tech geek. I put an outdoor a Neptune television from Peerless outside where my hot tub was, and I barely ever watch it because I don't, it's not like I sit out there all the time, but I love the fact that I can. Right. So there's this awesome opportunity. And think about 5 years ago, you couldn't even have TV outside. Right. It's amazing, Giles, the speed at which the technology has changed and accelerated. Absolutely.
And this is one of the things that we've really been trying to promote as an industry for quite a long time. We've often been seen as a luxury, not necessarily a necessity. And that's been something that, I was an integrator for 14 years. I've always had to kind of explain the role of an integrator. And obviously the pandemic, as you said, everyone working from home put enormous strain on home networks. Suddenly there was a sort of dramatic shift. Everyone sort of looked to technology for the answer of being stuck at home, having to homeschool kids, having to be on multiple Zoom calls. And, our research showed that the number of networking installations rose significantly due to the pandemic, but also the things that you mentioned as well, like outdoor entertaining, that's become a thing. Also, how technology can enhance how you feel at home health, wellness technology, home gyms, those kind of things. As well as, some of those elements, like you say, with home theater. Yes, the experience can be brought home. There's also ways that in multiple different types of homes, different styles of homes, you can use mechanisms and things to hide technology. It doesn't have to be a dedicated home theater room. You could have a home theater experience in a condo if you wanted to, just utilizing some of the really innovative mechanisms and technology that's available and that we'll see at Expo.
Yeah, actually, Leon Speakers is a great example of that, where they do an amazing job hiding anything. Like they introduced a product recently that's a window that's really an LCD display, but it looks like a window. So if you have one of these home offices like me that has no windows, you can actually create your own version of what you want to look at every single day. And they have outdoor speakers that are amazing. They have their outdoor speakers are also LEDs, so that you can light path lighting as well at the same time, and you can change the color. I mean, it's amazing. I want to kind of, if you're okay with this, I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about sort of the resi-mercial emergence of the resi-mercial market. In fact, Crestron is back at CEDIA in a big way for the first time in a long time. And I think that's because they recognize that there's not only the residential side, which they've always participated in, but the resi-mercial side is that bridge between the two. And I'm curious, where does CEDIA, the association, see themselves playing in that? And how does that play as part of the future or state of the residential market? Is that a thing, or is that just a made up thing?
Well, a number of our members have overlap between the residential and what we'll call light commercial, resi-mercial sometimes referred to. But essentially, they're doing the same work. It's the same kind of technology. And people want that when they leave their homes. They want that technology that they've become so comfortable with to go with them to their workplace. And so I think after the pandemic and consumers really experiencing what their homes can be, they want that anywhere. And they're going to call their integrator, their CEDIA member, and say, hey, what can you do in my dry cleaner? And that integrator is going to be able to do that work as well. So I think there's a lot of overlap, and it goes in both directions. People want that technology from their home comfort to follow them to the office, but people also want the convenience of the offices if they want to work from home. And so you're seeing a lot of overlap right now. And I think this light commercial market is an area that our integrators are very interested in.
I'm curious if, I'm always frustrated and surprised that companies like Apple and Google and Microsoft haven't been more active in this segment of the market. Considering, and I understand Amazon, another one, that they're kind of like the entry-level product, right? But everyone has an Apple TV, right? I mean, let's be honest. Everyone has an Apple TV in their house. Everyone has Roku. Everyone has, something from Google Home and Nest or whatever. And of course, some of them have kind of appeared every once in a while with certain Ring, for example, before they were part of Amazon, was there. But why aren't these companies pursuing and wooing and being more integrated into CEDIA, the show, but also CEDIA, the association? Is it that they just see themselves as truly only entry level? I mean, the great thing about entry level is people always want to upgrade, so they're going to eventually buy up. But is that something Giles or Daryl, y'all are working on? Because we all use their products.
I mean, we've had Google at the show, we've had Amazon at the show as well in the past. I think some of where technology companies have struggled with the market is really this around sort of agreeing to standards. There's been a bit of a standards war amongst some of these technology companies, and finally with Matter, we have a standard which all of these companies have agreed on. So that I think firstly should make a lot of the companies be able to sort of play more nicely with each other, and also integrate into, more sort of traditional systems that we've found in the CEDIA channel, like Crestron or Sutton or Control 4. But I think the way that a lot of these I see less of a sort of difference between sort of entry level and high end now. I think you walk around some high end neighborhoods and you see Ring doorbells, you see them everywhere, and you see, when I look at our CEDIA awards, some of our CEDIA award-winning projects have, Amazon Echoes in them. So I think it's more that integrators have a wider range of choice, and I think, are being seen more as technology curators to homeowners, right, in that they come to them, more so with looking at as a budget, looking at the design of the house, and the integrators then determining what the priority is for that client, depending on what they've told them. And whether it's high-end audio, whether it's home technology, whether it's that gigantic LED screen in the outside that you just mentioned, Gary, it's about how that all aligns with their budget and the design of the property. So it's just a bit more of a holistic approach.
Yeah, and I do think people do say, hey, Alexa, and by the way, she's going to start telling me she's having trouble connecting because she went offline for a minute. But they do say that to turn everything on. Like, I mean, but ultimately it's talking to a Crestron or Control 4 or somebody else's control system, because Alexa, she can't control everything herself. It's got to be connected to something else that's controlling it. So it is driving a lot of the business that we're doing. I would just love to see them there. And I've seen Apple, for example, they're taking a different approach. Like they're sort of like embracing the high end now with some of the new products, and they're embracing the fact that the products are becoming more enterprise based rather than just consumer based. In fact, Daryl, you mentioned it. It's funny that here at UNC, our classrooms that we have, I teach here at the University of North Carolina, we have Apple TVs in every single classroom, and the reason for that is everyone knows how to cast to an Apple TV. And so everyone who's using a Mac or a tablet or whatever they're using, they can cast to it, even though we also have ShareLink and we also have Air Media and other platforms to wirelessly cast to, because the consumer platforms are inside of the commercial applications. Daryl, you mentioned that yourself.
That's right. I think, and that's just part of this blurring between the workplace and sort of light commercial areas like a classroom, where you can see some of the same technologies in both. So the CEDIA member, who's the integrator, is working in both spaces, and I think they're very comfortable in both spaces. And we would encourage homeowners and office owners to utilize them.
Yeah, you have a collaborative agreement with Avixa, who does the Infocom show, for the show internationally, the ISE show, which, Giles, I believe you were on the board for ISE, and CEDIA owns. I forget exactly what the agreement is with them, but y'all have a chunk of that show and co-own that show. Will we ever see something like that come to the U.S. where we have like a combined mega show that does residential and commercial? Is it something you've ever talked about or thought about?
I've heard people talk about it in the industry that they would like that, but I mean, both shows are unique in the sense that, residential technology is its own industry, and it is very different than this sort of very complex high-end commercial projects that Avixa members are doing, arenas, these giant stadiums, office complex. I mean, these major commercial enterprises. So I don't think you're seeing as much of the overlap there. So I think, the fact that both shows are growing, Infocom, I understand, did very well this year. CEDIA Expo's back and in full force. So I think there's room for both distinct trade shows.
Yeah. Giles, I want to ask you about what, and maybe there's some other things you want to talk about. I want to ask about education. Obviously, Mandy, who runs your education, I know her personally. I've known her for 22 years. When I was a volunteer I was the chair of the Professional Education Training Committee. She was hired in to kind of steward us into the online world in education. So I know she must be working hard on building building out the academy of educational programs that you have. How much of that will we see at the show, and where else can we find out more about it?
Quite a lot. So we're really thrilled with the registration take up that we've seen through all of our education classes that we have at CEDIA Expo. They're in a range of different topics. We've got lighting, wellness tracks. We've got even some of the resi light commercial focuses as well. And then obviously we have our online CEDIA Academy as well, that has education covering project management, sales, foundation level technical training as well, that can help learners gain the knowledge they need to be able to then get CEDIA certified. We have our ANSI approved ISO, CIT, and IST certifications. So there's a huge amount on the CEDIA Academy. So we're really trying to create, we've got our in-person conference program, we've got our online available as well. And then we also are rolling out through education partners as well, classroom-based training. So we're really trying to make it as easy as possible for integrators to be able to access the education.
Yeah, and that's going to be required, because there's going to be a certain subset of people that just don't have the time to travel anymore. I mean, the industry is busy. Daryl, did I leave anything off? I mean, y'all did a phenomenal job kind of covering a little bit of everything. Is there anything that CEDIA, the association, wants to tell our viewers about what some of the things that you have going on that I haven't mentioned?
Well, if just some of the key events, if you're coming to Expo, if you want to start off with some very good content and breakfast Thursday morning, we'll have an advocacy town hall. We'll be explaining why some of these issues that people have been taking for granted, just the ability to work in a jurisdiction, could be threatened by one rogue regulator, and how CEDIA is working to address that and defend the industry. We also have our awards ceremony on Friday night. A lot of excitement for that. back at Expo for the first time in many years. I'll be talking about the association on the Smart Stage Thursday afternoon, and I'll be joined by the buying group heads to talk about the state of the industry Thursday morning. So all of those things, and when I'm not at one of those places, I'll be at our booth and hoping to meet as many members as I can.
And that's booth 19025. So if you want to check out CEDIA 19025, you'll find it. There's a big sign. You won't have a problem finding it. But Giles, thank you very much for joining. Congratulations on all the stuff that y'all have done. Daryl, hey, it's an honor to have you in the industry. I see us growing in a different way with your background. Specifically, it's great to have somebody like you with a vision beyond just the tech, running the association, and they're lucky to have you. Thanks for joining me, both of you, today, because I know you're really busy. I mean, literally, you're both getting on an airplane here in the next couple of days, and I know you got other things to worry about. But I wanted.
As are you.
What's that?
As are you.
You know, I have great people that make it easier for me to be able to do stuff like this. I like talking to the. You know, I might be the face here, but at the same time, you know, you got Carrie in the background here making this production happen, and you got our team packing up and getting everything to Dallas that we need to get to Dallas. And I'm excited to be back in Dallas. I mean, this is where the whole show started. This is where it all started. Yeah, y'all don't remember this because none of y'all were in the industry at the time. But I remember the very first CEDIA show in Dallas at the Dallas Mart, and you know, it wasn't really a show; it was like a tabletop thing, but it was really cool. And I think I've only missed one show. Maybe I missed two the whole time. So I'm excited to be going back to Dallas, and it's really going to be cool to be there, and a lot of history there, but also great place to be in the middle of the U.S., easy to get to. It's cheap to fly there for the most part. So we'll hopefully see everyone there. Show is, let me make sure I get this right. It's 28th through the 1st, technically. The show days of the 29th, 30th, and the 1st, but there's some education before as well. The education really gets kind of cranked up on the 26th, 27th too. There's a little bit of stuff going on there, but the big days are obviously the 29th, 30th. The 30th is the awards banquet on the evening of the 30th. But the show is also on Saturday because, hey, residential people do work on Fridays, and they sometimes only get Saturday off, Daryl. So thanks for continuing to put that show on Saturday for those integrators that don't have a chance. So, but anyway, we have recorded a number of video casts in and around leading up to the CEDIA show. You can see all those at ravepubs.com. Just click on the rAVe Radio link, or you can go to, if we have a CEDIA microsite that doesn't have a whole lot on it yet. It has a couple hundred news stories on it, but we'll beef that up because we'll shoot about 500-600, maybe 700-800 videos. We'll see. Next week at the show, you go to ravepubs.com/CEDIA 2022. Giles, thank you very much. Daryl, thank you very much. And thank all of you for watching. And y'all have a great day.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
rAVe Radio with rAVe.